Justin Roiland situation is awful. If I if I remember right, this is the guy from Rick and Morty. I could be wrong though. Well, let's take a look.
Rick and Morty fans got jump
Oh
scared
yeah.
with some of the worst news they've received since the Szechuan sauce riots of 2017. God rest all those lost souls. With some very serious,
I
troubling
remember that
news
time.
that
Jeez.
broke about Justin Roiland. He was arrested on felony domestic violence charges as well as a false imprisonment charge for an incident that took place in 2020. Now, much
Jeez.
like everyone else, I was very surprised by this news. I think most people were shocked. This isn't a situation where there was a lot of people
Yeah.
wiggling a finger saying, I told you so, you should have listened to us. This was something that caught
Came
most
out of
people
nowhere.
off guard. These are serious charges he's facing, and a lot of people, myself included, were also confused on what a false imprisonment charge is in this situation, because I think most of us assumed that was something that only a law enforcement officer or someone in that position could be charged with. So I had to look it up myself. And to be fair, you have to have a pretty high IQ to understand false imprisonment charges. So in this case, he's being charged with false imprisonment by way of menace, violence, fraud, and or deceit, which bumps this from a misdemeanor up to a felony. It levels up the charge here. It goes plus ultra, and it basically
Oh
boils
wow.
down to keeping someone against their will by intimidating them, scaring them, threatening them,
I thought that was kidnapping, but maybe it's like a different scenario.
what have you. So it's a very serious thing. That's not some like joke charge by any means. And of course, the domestic violence charge is the one that catches most people's eye because that is just fucked up. Especially because it's a domestic battery with corporal injury. Now, the victim here is an anonymous person
Corporal
who
injury
is
is like
remaining a
actually
Jane Doe for this case.
hospital
A
level
lot of the
injury.
details of this case are being kept
If I
private
remember
and
right.
won't be released to the public. But basically, it was someone that Justin Roiland was dating at the time, and this incident occurred in 2020. He pled not guilty to the charges, also posted a $50,000 bail, and this has been an ongoing legal battle ever since. He's gone to very many hearings about this. He recently went to a pre-trial. The trial date hasn't been set yet, but this is a very serious case which carries real jail time should he be found guilty on all of these charges. Now, Justin did plead not guilty, and his legal team seems very confident, stating, "It's hard to overstate how inaccurate the recent media coverage of this situation has been. To be clear, not only is Justin innocent, but we also have every expectation that this matter is on course to be dismissed once the district attorney's office has completed its methodical review of the evidence. We look forward to clearing Justin's name and helping him move forward as swiftly as possible."
I mean, to be fair, would they say anything else? Like, even if I don't know, like from their lawyer, they want to be like, "Is this going to be a real hard one? They have some really good evidence against our client here. It's not looking good. Okay, we're gonna have some sleepless nights."
So they seem to believe that this will just be dismissed pretty soon. I am a little confused on what inaccuracies they're talking about when people are just saying, like, hey, this is going on at the moment, which is kind of provable, right? Like, he did get charged with these things, he just hasn't been found guilty of them. I'm all for shitting on journalists and the media coverage of things. They can gargle the dirtiest part of my butthole, but in this case, they're
Ooh.
kind of just stating, like, this is an ongoing thing, which it is, which you're
It
also
is,
confirming.
yeah.
So I don't exactly know what specific inaccuracies is being referred to here, but it is important to note that he has not been found guilty on these charges or anything like that at the moment. This was actually just the first of many dominoes to fall in a very bad week for Justin Roiland and for just general fans of his work. A lot of news was breaking about Justin Roiland having a pretty predatory past in terms of how he talks to fans through DMs and shit. None of the text messages and DMs that have been leaking have been completely confirmed as real or verified as of the moment, so I won't really bother showing them. They are turbo cringe, and I, again, don't know if they're real or not, but they're out there. There's a lot of them
If
as
it's real,
well.
it's not gonna
But
look good
one
for
thing
him.
that is confirmed is
For
that
this
his
trial.
game studio, Squanch Games, did actually have to settle a sexual harassment lawsuit back in 2019. No, that's news to me. Justin Roiland had some more
That's
shit come
not a
out
good
today.
look.
Uh-oh. That's no good. He's gonna need a Mr. Meeseeks out there ASAP to do some damage control. Also,
Yeah.
it just came out that Squanch Games
It's like, it's a coincidence when it's one time. What is it when it's three times? Like all within a few years of each other.
was sued in 2018 for sexual harassment, discrimination, and wrongful termination. Goodness gracious. Jeez, Rick. Oh, yeah. Justin Roiland's Squanch Games quietly settled a sexual harassment lawsuit in
Yep.
2019. Oh boy, Rick. Sounds like things were getting a little too swifty over at Squanch Games.
Oh my god. Rick and
That's
Morty.
no good. Yeah, they glorbed right out of the trick hole on that one, huh? Jesus Christ. All of this coming out all at once with Justin Roiland. The floodgates are fully opened. Overall, the
Yeah.
whole situation's extremely sad. Even if you don't like Justin Roiland, this isn't something to celebrate. This isn't something that anyone should want to see. Because if he's found guilty on these charges, that means there was a very real victim who suffered greatly.
For me, it's not want to say, but it's more like if there is, like, if it turns out this is all true, this is a good thing because finally it's getting the light exposed on it. And this, like, obviously, if he's innocent, that's another thing. But if it's like guilty of on almost every front, this guy's a monster.
And that's horrible. Now, I'm not a
Yeah.
huge Justin Roiland fan these days. I don't dislike Rick and Morty. I haven't watched it in a couple of years, but I always enjoyed it. I just haven't really felt like watching it recently. But I didn't like High on Life. I dropped it after a few hours. The writing just
Yeah.
became an actual headache. And I'm no fan of fourth wall breaking. I don't find it extremely comedic. So when you like press pause in the beginning of the game and then you unpause and it's like, you just pause the game? You just pause the game during a firefight? Are you dumb? How could you just pause the game? You just paused the game during this gunfight? Oh man, we got a real stupid guy here because you just paused the game during a firefight because you weren't thinking, pausing the game. I can't believe you paused the game. Just droning on and on and on. I couldn't deal with
That
it.
sounds annoying.
So I didn't really like High on Life, but I did like Rick and Morty. And I'd say on the whole, I was pretty tired of that just over explaining every single joke, stuttering on every single joke. It very much wore off on me, and I stopped enjoying the shtick. So even still, as someone who's not the biggest fan of his recent works, I don't want him to have been someone that beat and falsely imprisoned the person that they were dating. And if he
Oh,
did
I
do
see what you're
that, I'm
saying.
hoping
Yeah.
the victim gets the help they need to get through this situation because that shit is traumatic, I imagine. So I'm wishing them the absolute
Absolutely.
best. It would be a disservice and downright criminal of me not to mention the memes that have spawned from this whole situation. With so many people being
What?
pretty tired and exhausted of Justin Roiland's style of writing, as well as High on Life being extremely divisive, people have taken the opportunity to just go hog wild, making jokes about all of this, referencing Pickle Rick, talking about how this is the wrong Justin Roiland. The Justin Roiland that's, being talked about with this domestic violence charge is actually Justin Roiland of Universe C-137. That's Felon Roiland. Shit like that.
Jesus.
Just a nonstop waterfall of memes. A lot of people have wondered if he is found guilty, what it means for the future of Rick and Morty. It's such a cash cow. A lot of people, like myself, think that they'd probably try and continue it without him. But
Yeah, it only makes sense. They probably just try to reach or get people who have a similar sense of comedy too.
then it would just slowly whittle away and die. Just slowly ferment and rot. Because not only is he the main voice actor for Rick and Morty, he is also a writer on it. So if he is found guilty, I don't know how you replace him.
The voices should be relatively easy. There's a lot of people who have been, who worked on that voice to actually make it good. So to me, that part of it wouldn't be that difficult. I'm assuming, of course, but it just makes sense to me that that wouldn't be difficult to replace, to get voice actors for that. As for the writing part, I mean, it's hard to say. I don't think he was the only writer. And now that his style of comedy is like pretty like mainstream in a sense, like I don't think it'd be that difficult either to find someone who has a similar comedic brain, I guess.
The show's quality would be in the shitter and it'd
More than
fall off
likely.
really hard. But I do think they would try and continue it without him, but it wouldn't be successful. That would be my thought if he's found guilty here. But of course, the main thing to focus on isn't necessarily the future of Rick and Morty. It's on whether or not someone was
The
truly
victim.
beaten and falsely
Yep.
imprisoned by this guy, because that is absolutely fucking horrible. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over the situation a little bit here since it's one I've been glued to for the last few days to see any new developments and what's going on with the whole.
Yeah, I've heard something, like I did see some things here and there on it, but I didn't really want to look into it at first because I'm like, okay, well, let's wait a bit. And it's similar to this, like, I don't know if he's guilty, don't know if he's innocent, so time will tell. And yeah, I mean, if he's innocent, great. No one's really hurt too much other than, obviously him having to go through all this, but like, how did they get him to court without any evidence? Because it's not as easy as it used to be from my knowledge of it. So
Whole thing. It's a pretty sad set of circumstances overall, and yeah, just wanted to talk about it a bit. That's it. See ya.